Jim Carrey showed up to a French awards show looking and acting a little bit different than usual, and people have lost their absolute goddamn minds. Conspiracy theories that he's been cloned or replaced have gained traction on social media to a level that few manage to achieve.
So there's a conspiracy theory online at the moment that Jim Carrey has been cloned, and this is his clone or his stunt double.
That's not Jim Carrey. It is so blaringly obvious. Look at his face. His face is different.
You even got people commenting things like, I don't usually buy into conspiracy theories, but I think they might be onto something with this one. Really? This is what did it for you? The Jim Carrey clone theory is what tipped you over into conspiracy theory land? Clearly, people have been worked up into a tizzy over this, so I want to try and bring people back down to earth and explain why this is most likely still the original Jim Carrey. Now, I know I'm late to this topic. I wanted to record this video a few days ago, but then I got sick and couldn't talk, so excuse me if I'm beating a dead horse at this point. So first off, let's address Jim's physical appearance. The most obvious explanation to me for why he looks different is that he just got some work done. Plastic surgery is incredibly common in the entertainment industry, maybe more common than ever nowadays. The most common rebuttal to that is, he looks too different for it to be just plastic surgery. The shape of Jim's eyes are different. How do you explain that? Blepharoplasty. It's a procedure that can change the shape of your eyes. For those out there who are in disbelief, let me give you a quick refresher on how much plastic surgery can change your appearance. In addition to that, this particular video that everyone has been latching onto makes him look particularly different. There are other pictures and videos from this same event where he looks closer to his original form. This clip of his appearance on Colbert's show has been spread to contrast how radically different he looked just days before his appearance at the awards show.
I noticed he went on the Colbert show just recently, 9 days prior to him showing up with long hair. Like, this is him 9 days prior to that show in France. Your hair cannot grow that quickly. What's going on?
Now, here's the thing about that Colbert video. It's actually 6 years old. It was just re-uploaded by the Late Show social media account a couple weeks ago to commemorate Mardi Gras. Some have dismissed all this by saying, but Jim has always been about authenticity and being real. If he got work done on his face, that would go against his whole philosophy. This is one of the most frustrating things to me about conspiracy theories. The true believers act like any alternative explanation that's level-headed and grounded in reality is the more far-fetched explanation. Like you're being ridiculous for suggesting a possibility that's more mundane. Hey, what's more likely, that a celebrity was cloned and his clone was deployed into the public eye to pretend to be him, or he just changed his mind about something? Also, I don't know that this would even count as him really changing his mind. When he has waxed on about authenticity in the past, I think he meant more in terms of like personality and how one acts in their life, not their superficial physical appearance. And this wouldn't even be the first time that he made an effort to change his physical appearance in public. May I remind you that Jim Carrey has been obviously dyeing his hair for many years now. But the smoking gun that believers like to point out is that Jim's eyes appear to be a different color, which goes beyond simple plastic surgery, and even if it were a routine procedure, why would he change the color of his eyes? He normally has brown eyes, but in this interview, he appears to have eyes that are more grayish-green. The most likely explanation seems obvious to me. In this interview, there are two bright lights beaming into his eyeballs from a close distance, and it's making them look brighter than usual. I mean, look at how bright his black tuxedo is in this clip. It looks dark gray. In fact, why don't we do a little experiment and try adjusting the brightness and contrast so that the tuxedo in the interview more closely matches the way it looks when he's on stage. Let's bring the brightness down and, oh, look at that. His eyes are looking quite brown, aren't they? Also, there are photos from this same night where his eyes look the same color they've always been. So that's probably all it is. There's just a bright light in his face, and maybe the camera doing some weird color and light adjustment on top of that. The other thing that's been raising people's eyebrows is Jim's behavior in this interview, with accusations that he isn't talking like he normally does and isn't being his usual zany self.
As my favorite actor and comedian of all time, I know that man. I have seen all of his interviews, him in all of his roles, I know his mannerisms. That is not him.
This isn't the Jim Carrey that I know and love. He isn't being funny. He didn't even say a single alrighty then. I will admit, his body language and manner of speaking do seem a bit different from what I've usually seen from him in the past. So what's the reason for all that? Well, if he seems a bit less zany and goofy from what you're used to, it's probably that he's being a bit more serious than most other interviews because he's at a serious, prestigious event. And more importantly, he isn't simply an attendant or a nominee at this event. He's being honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award. So that's probably putting him in an unusual mood. In addition to that, he's in France talking to French media, so he might be modifying the way he's speaking for that reason as well. Plus, he's done serious interviews in the past. It's not like we don't have examples of serious Jim Carrey. Also, in his rehearsed speech that he gave on stage, he did act more like the version of him that we're most used to seeing. Maybe they sent the real Jim Carrey out to give the speech and then sent out his clone to do the press. That would be a pretty sweet setup, actually. I don't understand what the motivation would be to clone Jim Carrey, even if that were possible. Is the idea that he's dead, and now they're trotting out a clone to keep up the illusion of him being alive? Did they replace him because the real Jim Carrey was speaking too much truth to power? And if he is a clone, why doesn't he look more like the original Jim Carrey? They couldn't even get the eye color right? I mean, you can literally buy colored contact lenses to make your eyes look like they're a different color. To add fuel to the fire, this guy Alexis Stone on TikTok posted a video claiming it was him at the award show in prosthetics pretending to be Jim Carrey. And a lot of people have absolutely run with this theory. It's less crazy than the clone theory, I'll give it that. But still, no. If you look at this guy's portfolio of work, none of his celebrity prosthetics look that believable. I mean, you can tell which celebrities he's going for. The guy is talented at what he does, but he's not good enough to make a prosthetic that looks this much like Jim Carrey. He's just a guy capitalizing on the virality of this thing to boost his own content.